How to connect a DECT handset, wireless handset, to a voice over IP base station. Welcome back guys to part 2 of my tutorial video, and today I'm going to connect the Gigaset PRO SL750 to a voice over IP base station, and this is a really nicely made out of metal business headset, and the color is graphite. And maybe you have seen one of my earlier videos. Maybe I can just put this next here. This is basically a consumer product on the right, that at least in the case for in Europe, these HX series headsets, handsets, DC handsets, you can connect them directly to your router, so you don't need a base station. But with a professional series, I mean, you can see they look sort of similar, and I think that's also why this consumer version has become so popular. But while the consumer version is not made out of real metal, this is really made out of real metal. It's scratch resistant, and supposedly from what I read, the manufacturer says you can wipe it down with disinfectant, and probably the consumer version would not be that sturdy. So we're going to connect this Gigaset SL750 to this voice over IP base station, which I showed you in the previous video. And just a quick reminder, basically you configure this base station in Germany if you get an internet connection, at least with the big provider. I think in the US you only know it as T-Mobile, but it's not really called T-Mobile in Germany. But I think it has this kind of same parent company. Anyway, you get, if you buy an internet package, you get like 3 phone numbers. And then I think this base station can handle up to 6 lines or something like that. So you would configure all the lines. And then once you configure the lines, you connect the corresponding DECT wireless handsets to that base station, let's say your sales department or service department. And yeah, honestly, I'm not exactly clear on how available these products are. Sometimes the manufacturers, the German companies, they only export a portion of their product range overseas. But yeah, in any case, I think it's going to be interesting. So you see what's happening in the overseas markets, if that model is not available in your geographic location yet. Maybe the video tutorials will eventually make it more popular, because I want obviously the German companies to compete with all these other brands like Yeeling and so on that are from overseas, because I think Germany can make really nice products. So why don't support that, promote that overseas? So like you see in the navigation below, this is the introductory part. Next we're going to do the unboxing. I'll show you a few close-up shots of the hopefully amazing build quality. I'm super excited to look at this right now, since I'm coming from the consumer version. And then we're gonna do a configuration, link it up to the base station. With the consumer version, I think I know you could connect the phone via USB to your computer, and then, for example, if you're on a Mac, you could just copy the contacts from your address book to that phone and have the phone numbers all there, stuff like that. I assume the business version in the base station, maybe you can even use an LDAP server if you're a bigger company that has an LDAP server, but I don't want to get too much in the advanced stuff. So we're going to stick with the basics for now, look at the build quality, and then just connect it and see what the sound quality is. And then in the last part, I'm going to do a summary and conclusion. So guys, I'm very excited to have you here. Let's get rolling with the unboxing. So guys, let's have a look inside the box. I quickly had a peek inside already so that I can walk you through all the parts and components. First up, you have the manual again. It's a similar, like I told you with the base station, the N510 IP Pro base station, which I covered in the last video. So the first thing we're going to do is follow the instructions of this Gigaset SL750 and put in the battery and charge it for a couple hours. 3 hours I think is what is recommended, so that we are really ready to use this on a daily basis. And since this manual here, it's not a real manual, it's just more like a sheet with different languages that gives you like some very minimal information. To find a complete manual for this DECT handset, please go to the Gigaset PRO webpage. There you find the complete, always up-to-date manual in different languages. Here we have the, I believe you call it charging cradle in the US. And while the bottom part is plastic, the top part really feels like a very sturdy metal quality. I like that a lot, the silver look. So let's just connect the power supply to this real quick, and you just slide this in at the back. Okay, important, the silver part is up. So you slide it in and it makes this audible clicking noise. Next up, we look at this lithium-ion battery. It's really super thin. I mean, look at how thin that is. And the capacity seems to be listed with 750 milliamp hours. So I think it's really this flat battery that makes supports the really small form factor of this phone, because it's a really flatly designed phone. So why don't we just take this? Let's check out real quick the look, feel, and build quality. One thing I immediately noticed why this charging cradle seems to have metal. I'm not really sure whether this doesn't feel like metal actually. So maybe I have to check back on the manufacturer's website. Maybe I bought the wrong version. Here we have, like with the handset that I reviewed previously, the 660HX series, it also had the connector for a headset, and I think we're gonna test this with a Plantronics that I have here at home, so we see what the sound quality is when you use the phone directly, or if you use it with a wired headset. And I believe this is a 2.5 millimeter jack right here. So let's go ahead, put in the battery, and start up this really nice mobile. There you go, it's booted up. So next I'm gonna show you a little bit the menu, and then we get started. And guys, after I select the language, it tells me to register the handset with the base station, which I'm going to do next. Maybe there's a way I can go into the menu. The menu looks somewhat similar, other than compared with the Gigaset 660HX. And maybe I can put this next here. Display wise, the displays are kind of the same, but what's the difference is the professional line is more compact. You see, it's kind of thinner, it's not as long, the keypads are slightly smaller, so it's a more compact handset, while at the same time giving you this additional functionality with the Bluetooth and providing you with a more compact size. So let's connect this to the base station, and then what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to change the camera angle and show you how to connect it. Only one last thing, I got a little bit overambitious. I totally forgot. You are supposed, as you can see here, to charge it first, which I kind of forgot. So let's connect this charging station first. So guys, power on, and then we put this into the charging cradle and wait for a while, and I'll be back in a second. So guys, and as you can see, the handset is fully charged, and it still asks me to register it with the base station. And to do so, what I found out, you have to push this. This is the base station. As you can see, I prepped everything and put this here. To register the handset, you just go ahead and push that blue button for I think 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. And then you go back to your handset and follow through. It says register. Okay, I'm gonna register. It searches for the base. It asks for the system pin, and by default this is 3 times the 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously we're gonna change that. And the handset is registered. You see it automatically pulls the date and time. 15:43 would be 3 o'clock p.m., something like this. And it also assigned the internal line 1. It says to start the voice over IP assistant. I do not recommend you guys configure your voice over IP lines via the phone. Just watch my first video that I made about the base station, because there I explained to you how you can much more easily configure the base station via the web interface. And that's what I'm going to do right now, and I'm going to be just back in a second, and then we look at the menu and all the functions that you can find in here. So I see you in a second after I set up the phone lines for my German phone lines and the US phone lines and something like this. So guys, from all I can see, the configuration of the Gigaset SL750 is really fairly easy. As you have just seen, you just push the pairing button and the handset pairs itself with the base station. I just pushed the button at the base station, and then that was really straightforward. When it comes to the menu, you have quite a lot of stuff in the menu here. If you want to know like all the details, what I recommend is probably best you head over to the Gigaset PRO webpage, because they have a manual, and I believe the manuals usually have like 100 pages. So you see, if I walk you through every little menu item, it will probably be a little bit boring. Two interesting features that I found, that on the menu screen it shows you the weather information for different cities. And what I basically tried, I went into the menu and I said, oh, let's configure my city. So I just went to, where is it? Oh yeah, it was not in settings, it was in additional features, info center. And then you have weather information. See, so it could also have a news ticker run through here. I think weather information is nice. So I just added Munich in here, but maybe because I voted in German, I'm not sure. Still, it does not show up here. So you see, it shows Seoul and Korea and so on and so forth. I mean, I think it's a nice feature, but I wish it would be a little bit more intuitive to change the cities. So that's what I mean when I say it's probably best you refer to the menu, because quite honestly, I don't know all the answers, so I have not read the entire pages of the manual so that I know every little detail. The second thing that I found what was kind of interesting was that apparently, as it looks like, if you go to additional features here, you can go to Bluetooth, and that's where you can activate Bluetooth, and then it seems you can connect a Bluetooth handset. So for someone who where they're wireless handsets, that might be a relevant feature. Personally, what I'm going to do right now, I have the wired Plantronics right here, and obviously you can connect a wired headset as well, which is my preferred method. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick test call to my iPhone. And I have put the iPhone here in the background, and now I'm just going to go into the menu, go into my call list, and now I'm going to call my iPhone. That should be pretty straightforward. So it takes a short moment, but as you can see back there, my iPhone is ringing. So and I hear it in my headset, so I'm going to quickly hang up, and then I'm going to call back the phone in a second. But just to remind you, in tutorial video number 1, I showed you how to configure the base station, and that was actually something I found. The handset is much easier to configure. You just pair it with the base station, and maybe you make some changes to what ringtones you want, or you connect a headset or something like this. So the handset is very easy to configure. The more difficult part is the base station. Because when I did run the base station assistant for my voice over IP provider, I entered all my access data, and the base station would establish a connection. And like I showed you just a minute ago, I could call out of my voice over IP line to my cell phone, and I could receive the calls. But let's say I have a missed call on my cell phone and I want to call back. I couldn't call back from the cell phone, which was really weird. And then I had to do a little bit of digging until I found what exactly I had to configure this base station and my router so that everything worked flawlessly. So if you're really new to voice over IP, check out the configuration tutorial of the base station, because that's probably going to be, it's not probably, it's going to be more challenging. So let's quickly prove to you that it works. So just call back from the iPhone. So as you can see, I have my iPhone here, and I have a missed call, and I'm just calling back to my voice over IP line from my cell phone. And there comes the call, it's the incoming call. And yeah, I tested it, it works really great if you know how to set it up. And guys, because the video has become quite long, I split my tutorials into two. I have a tutorial for the base station and a product review for the handset. And yeah, you're invited to watch the other tutorial as well. So we're now in part 4, the summary and conclusion part. To be quite honest, I think I gave you a lot of information just in the last couple of minutes, what I think about this. The build quality is very nice. I showed you the unboxing. I showed you how to pair it with the base station. I mentioned that the base station is more complicated to configure, and that if you're really new to voice over IP and never have done it, at least watch a few videos online. And my recommendation always is, if after watching a couple of videos you're still unsure, why don't you head over to your voice over IP provider's website, or if you're eyeballing, oh, maybe I want to go with this specific voice over IP provider, then why don't you go to your voice over IP provider's website and look for the help section, and then look whether they have a help article on the specific hardware that you want to use. If you want a Gigaset, see whether they have a help section for the Gigaset, like a configuration article. Or if you want to use a Yearlink, do they have a configuration article for the Yearlink? Because it's really my opinion from my experience, if the voice over IP provider has a good support article for the type of product you want to use, then your chances of success are just much higher. If the voice over IP provider has good support articles, that for me is always a thumbs up, because even I don't know all the details when I had to configure the base station. Sometimes they are just like some minor things. You have to switch something off in the router, or the one provider has you input the access data one way, and another provider you have to enable this stun server, or you don't have to enable it. So there are a little bit a few tricky things, and it's learnable, guys. It's really learnable. So the handset is really nice. I love it a lot, and guys, I couldn't be happier. More and more people have already subscribed to my channel, because I have other useful tutorials there, and you can subscribe right now as well. I see you as a subscriber on my channel, and in the next video. Guys, all the best to you. Take care. And because you just watched the video of the Gigaset SL750 IP Pro, you might also be interested in the other video that I made for the corresponding base station. And like I mentioned a second ago, I'm really amazed how many people have already subscribed to my channel because of the useful tutorials that I have here. And I hope you have subscribed already as well. I see you in the next video, and maybe even in one of my online courses. All the best to you. Take care.